I wonder what are the cliches that you hear that get on your nerves when you hear Christians just saying these phrases, or maybe even you've said some yourself that we really don't even understand what we're talking about, but it just sounds nice. Do you have some phrases like that?
I love what you've just said, and you've really now hit also that this is just fantastic. You triggered me in the right way. Okay, so the Christianese, I deliberately don't talk Christianese. I will use scripture in a teaching sense, and if you notice when I use a scripture, I always link it back to the science, because I'm trying to make people think. Because 25, 30 years ago, I remember driving to collect, it was 25 years ago, I remember driving to collect my eldest daughter, who was 2 years old, from her playgroup, and the one who's getting married. And I remember saying, why am I so obsessed with understanding the mind and the brain? Because it really is. I spend 2-3 hours a day researching. If you see me on my phone, I'm talking to my kids, or I'm reading research on the brain and the mindset. And I remember saying to God, why am I so obsessed? And the clearest answer, and I'm not trying to say I'm super spiritual, and I heard some sounds from heaven, and I didn't hear any of that. I just knew this answer was, if you teach people to think, they will find God. So that's what, for me, that's been my life mission. Christianese has blocked people's ability to, renew the mind. It's just overused, bring all thoughts into captivity. Well, are you doing it? Don't say it if you're not going to do it. We need to realize the profound impact of when you say something, you need to make sure that you mean that. Otherwise, you have cognitive dissonance in your brain. Where you're
Break
saying
that down a little bit.
Okay, so you're saying what you know you should be saying, because that's the culture. Mm-hmm. So Christianese is a culture. And it's a cultural trend, and this is how we speak, and this is what the preachers say. So you listen to the preachers, and they all say the same thing, but they just have their own styles. And I'm talking in general now. Obviously, each preacher is going to have a message that they deliver, but there's a certain language that is spoken in Christianese, and we're so used to hearing that we don't think about it. And that was my point that I was making earlier on. We don't really think about it. We recognize the familiar term, so we just repeat that, but then we don't actually absorb and make that part of our thinking and spend the 63 days, which is what it takes to build a long-term memory that will actually cause change. We're just saying those phrases over and over, but we don't really build them. They just kind of a surface thing that's hovering around. Well, I should be saying this because I'm in this cultural mindset. So it's actually toxic. It's a toxic tree, this wiry thing, because this is what I should be saying.
This tree, I've heard you talk about this before.
So that's a thought that represents, that's what thoughts look like in your brain. Thoughts are real things. Thoughts occupy mental real estate. A thought is a memory. We build them. Every time we think, feel, and choose, we build a thought. So we design to build healthy thoughts. That's an unhealthy thought. So cognitive dissonance, if I say, God shall meet all my needs, but then I'm whining about everything, or bring all thoughts to captivity, and all you do is spend all day gossiping and whining and complaining and being a victim and judging others because they're different to you, well, then you're actually speaking that language. So that scripture actually is not, it's a cultural thing. It's not something you believe. You're saying it because it's expected of you, but actually this is where you're operating from. So now we have a contradiction between what you're saying, because what you're saying is coming from a toxic root. So it sounds good, but it's not good, because it's not a reality in your life. That causes brain damage. So we're literally causing brain damage. That will cause nagging worry, nagging anxiety, because you're operating against your natural nature, which is, if I say something, I must mean it.